Well, I don't want to get in trouble, but the boss can just delete it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Is it recording now?
Yeah. That's fine. Should I do it again? So you don't point at it. You're breaking the illusion.
Amateur, come on.
What would you say to someone that said you're only in the police force to tick a box?
Okay, well, when it comes to policing, there's a phrase we use called mens rea. It just basically means intention. Okay, so what's my intent? So joining the police force, my intention was not to tick anyone's box. I only came here with my own aspirations.
Obviously, he's a black police officer, Ghanaian. So the enemy of you Nigel lot.
They're just poor man's Nigerians, man. Basically. But yeah, go on.
Yeah. So I just noticed that he was quite shocked that he went there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that? Why is that?
Because I've never, except for TV, Luther.
Yeah. Bad man policeman. Yeah.
I've never really come across a black police officer. Like, it's not really a profession that I would envision a black man to go into, or a black woman.
I can't control whatever people think of me. I can only talk about my intention, my intent for being in the force, and it wasn't to tick any proverbial box anywhere. I came in here because I wanted a career in policing. I came in here because I wanted to engage with the community. I came in here because I wanted to make a difference. I came in here because the pay is good. I came in here because the pension is good.
What got me to join the police force was I just saw loads of posters. I'm not from Humberside, and I just thought to myself, oh, I could see myself on there, and there's no one there that looks like me, like of an ethnic background, and I thought, yeah, I could definitely do it. And a lot of people said, oh no, you wouldn't, you're a woman, you're a lot smaller and stuff, but yeah, I joined, I got in, and it's a job I really enjoy, and I wouldn't change it for another job in the world, really.
I'm alone today. Last time you saw me, I was with my good friend Chedu. Chedu's had some experience in his past that left a bit of a sour taste in his mouth. So when I said to him, like, oh, we're going on the ride along, are you gonna come along with me? He just pretty much laughed in my face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, point blank refused, hence why I'm on my own.
Wow, okay.
I think it just started from young. There's definitely a situation I can remember, and what my mum actually reminded me about in detail before I actually came here today.
Okay.
About basically just some prejudice that we had from the police.
Yeah.
And then when I've gone into my teens, I've been just subjected to, I'd say, like, them targeting me and not my friends. I've been in a group of friends.
Yeah. Who I assume are
all white.
Yeah.
No one else gets searched, but let's search the black one. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's happened.
So you felt singled out, really?
Yeah, I did, and obviously that's just stayed with me, and it's left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth.
A lot of time when people have bad experience, usually stop and search I experienced, especially when I came from London, around people being stop and search, sometimes justified, sometimes not, and I think for me, when I have those encounters, I want to make sure that I address some of those issues, because usually they're not upset with me personally because I've never met them before, but it would have been their first encounter with the police officer that they might not have been given a really good service. Maybe at times we might be a bit rude, or we don't explain our powers and policy well enough, and people might feel we use excessive force at times. They might see 3 or 4 police officers using force to stop someone, or that sort of perception. So I guess for me is, how do we make it better, is that having that, every time I have that encounter, I try and have that communication approach where people can talk. That's why in my role, and Ruth's, as a neighbourhood policing role, we do that a lot around school engagement. We will park our Land Rover on the beach, asking kids to come and have a look at it and play with it, and just breaking those barriers, because at the end of the day, police officers are just wearing uniform. We're just normal human beings, right? For 12 hours, I've got a job to make sure that everyone that we see is sort of at peace and abiding the law. And I think the public want to see us to be also robust if someone is breaking the law and making sure things are back to normal. So it's that fine balance around how we police the community. And I think we do a lot better now listening to, you know, how people feel, especially in the ethnic minority community.
We're kind of coming at this from the angle of the black community. Yeah. And, you know, maybe like preconceptions that even we have as black heritage people about, you know, the police force and black people in the police force. I feel like the similar things would probably apply to being a gay man as well. Could you speak on that a little? Like, did you, before, I mean, how long have you been in
nearly 2 years.
Did you have any preconceived notions yourself about what it would be like for you as a gay man in the police?
Absolutely. When I first joined Humberside Police, I was really worried that I was going to be working with a load of straight-laced, macho police officers, and it was going to be fag this, puff that.
Yeah.
And I remember my first day thinking, oh, I better dumb my flamboyancy down a little bit. And within a day or two, I realised that isn't the case. We've got a lot of gay and lesbian police officers. I think on day one, I was introduced to the LGBT network, and I kind of had this sigh that, like, we have actually moved on. And in my brain, we hadn't in the police. Because before I joined the police, I've never really had any dealings with any force. And my preconceived ideas of the force went out the window in the first week, which was really nice.
And where do you think you got those ideas from? Like, are they just part of, like...
I think it's part of
society.
I think in my mind, I see a straight male as a homophobe sometimes.
Yeah.
Until I've proved otherwise.
Right. Okay.
Which shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be. We're tarnishing the same straight guy with the same brush.
Yeah.
But it is maybe a bias that I have in my mind. But you know, and I've been out operationally with police officers now, and me being gay has never even been a thing that's come up. You know, my partner is a police officer as well. Never even thought I'd find a partner as a police officer. That was just like beyond my thinking. And to be an openly gay couple in the police force was something beyond that I thought was possible. But it's 2021, like, we've moved on.
Female representation is really high in the organisation. But what we didn't know until we had this data was actually females are less likely to pass the in-force interview. So now we know that we can apply positive action for females at the interview process, the same as what we do for ethnic minorities at the beginning for the assessment centre.
And so, can you explain positive action? What do you mean by that?
So, when you have a proven underrepresentation and that affects the service that you deliver, because we've said that if we are to create the best possible service as a police force, we need to be representative of the community. If you have a proven underrepresentation, you can apply positive action, which just basically means you're looking at that one person, you're looking at what barriers that they, because of whatever it is that they are, whichever category of underrepresentation they are in, and you can remove those barriers for them.
The Western world as it is now has never been as diverse as it is now. So we're all learning all the new terms, all the new phrases. Everyone's difference matters now. And if we don't continue to learn, then we wouldn't get to where we need to be.
They seem to be trying to do stuff.
That's what I mean.
To eradicate it, but for me, just from that walk in, I'm still going to have the same opinion as what I had.
Yeah. So it's going to take a lot more for you to warm you up.
Yeah.
Because I won't really too cold
towards the police.
Because
anyway.
like I said, I haven't had experiences like you. And also, I know people, like, the thing about institutionalised racism and stuff and police and black people is a lot of it is exported from America. And I think we need to always remember that.
Though, bro.
I think
we've got enough findings in the UK now.
I think we've got some situations, we've got some problems.
I don't think some situations,
but not like the way, like what you were saying.
In America, no.
It's crazy.
No, in America it is crazy.
And I feel like
it's blatant racism in America.
Yeah, the climate in America is, in particular around race, is something that
is a mausoleum.
British people can't be part of that conversation. Because we don't experience that.
Not on the same level, no.
Nowhere near on the same level.
But we experience it.
We experience our own version in our own way.
But in a way, should there be a version?
There shouldn't be a version.
There shouldn't even be a version.
No, there shouldn't be a version.
We shouldn't be comparing anything. There should just not be a version. There should be just a level playing field.
But what I'm saying is, we need to be able to focus on what's going on with us
and forget about exporting ideas that come from
Yeah, but
America.
all-
And I think like since George, even before that, but in particular George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, but coming over here and all around Europe,
but bro,
where it don't really fit.
But bro, all my ideas are based on that, or anything to do with America.
Right.
But some of my ideas are based on what happened to Christopher Holder, a stone throw away.
Yeah.
You could say, oh yeah, like you should forget about it. No, like you said about the ghosts. Like I said to Mr. Downs, like my mum shouldn't be saying to me before I go out, be careful, because you know what happened to Christopher Holder.
Yeah.
Like that. Unfortunately, to the Humberside Police, that cloud around that organisation
We'll be there for a long time.
forever. What I want to know is, what are the police force doing, what Humberside Police doing, to sort of right the wrongs of what happened to Christopher?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, it's obviously part of the history of Humberside Police. We have made significant improvements as a result of what we've learned over the years, and the custody environment in particular. The provision, the way we look after people, the care we provide to people in custody is constantly improving and constantly changing. We have dedicated medical provisions within the custody suites now. We've got really smart custody suites that are very professional, very well monitored. All the cameras are there. We've got much better provision in terms of medical care. And we look regularly at constantly trying to improve. We have processes called a near miss, where if something happens that it would be a class of, if we'd not done something or not seen it, it could have become worse. We look at those on a week by week and month by month basis and make amendments and improvements to policy, to process, to training of our staff, to medical provisions that are in there. So there's a whole period of activity goes on still monthly now around continuing to deliver the best we can for people that are in custody, and to making it as safe as possible for everybody who comes through that custody suite.
Can I just jump in and just ask, like, what are your personal opinions on what happened with the Christopher Holder situation? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's a stain on police's reputation? Do you think even racism played a part in it, or do you not?
I mean, I wasn't involved in the incident, so it's really hard to comment. What I can say is, I think any death in custody is really sad and really tragic, and we need to make sure we do everything we can to stop anything like that happening. And clearly, there can be no doubt about it that it's had an impact on Humberside Police's relationship with the black community. We can't question that. Our job now is to continue to work tirelessly to make the improvements to make sure it doesn't happen again, and do everything we can to provide people with a reassurance that we are moving on, we're constantly improving, and we're constantly getting better at what we do. So I think my view is any death in custody is really tragic, and I'd never want anything like that to happen. Sometimes things do occur that can be out of our control and my control, but it's something we would never want to happen again, and I think we have to accept the impact it's had on local communities, and the fact that here we are now talking still about Christopher shows the magnitude of the impact it had on the black community.
Yeah, obviously I can vouch, you definitely do. For my mum to be constantly telling me about it, like, I was definitely reminded about the legacy of Christopher Holder. So did you use any sort of restorative justice with the Holder family?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with the Holder family very, very closely. I haven't been involved in that, but I know the force has worked with them, and in particular the two boys. And mediation has taken place between us and the family, and agreements have been reached. Part of that agreement is that the family don't want us to talk publicly about that, so I can't add any more about that. But I do know we've done a lot of work with the family, and mediation has taken place between us and the two boys.
I grew up on a council estate, as did Chedu, and although I was a good boy, didn't really get into trouble, never been arrested or anything like that. Actually, I'd be interested to know, have you ever had any run-ins with the police?
Have Have I?
Yeah, prior to joining.
Not at all. No. I've been stopped by the police.
Yeah.
When I'm a police officer, but I've never had an issue with it. No, not at all.
What do you mean you've been stopped when you like?
Just stop an account, stop and search. I think you go back to those diversity thing. You know, I think I was driving a new car. I was quite young. Well, young. That's 26, 27.
Yeah.
And I was in Peckham, driving a new Mercedes home after a night shift.
Yeah.
And the car was registered to Hull because I bought it from Hull. And obviously the police officer thought, well, what's going on here? 6 in the morning, young guy in a brand new Mercedes that registered to Hull. So quite rightly, they stopped me and spoke to me about it. And that's the only time really. And as a police officer, I kind of understand the mindset. And you know, if I was a victim of, you know, if my Mercedes has been stolen and it's registered in Hull, and some guy's driving it in Peckham, quite rightly we should have a look and see, is this legitimate, and are people driving the car that they own? So that was the only time really, and then I was dealt with quite. I didn't tell them I was a police officer, and
you didn't.
No. It's kind of a bit like.
Didn't want to embarrass them.
Not really, and I was dealt with quite quickly and no issues.
Interesting.
Say you're in a situation, you get robbed or you get attacked or whatever. Are you ringing the police?
It's probably still the same answer I gave you before.
Which is?
No.
And that's mad to me. That's mad to me. You know what I mean? Someone steals your car.
For us to give them a crime reference number.
Once I joined, I learned a lot more about how policing actually works. I think before I joined, I reported a few things and I was kind of a bit like, oh, why haven't I got the outcome I wanted? And at that point, you know, I had people around me saying, oh, you know, it's because they serve a different community, not ones like ours. But when I joined, it kind of broke that perception or any thoughts. I never really thought like that, because I thought the police force are there and there to serve the community regardless of which ethnic background or whether they're female or male. But I joined that, there's even like there's at some point, there's, depending on the evidence that there's only so much we can do. That doesn't mean we stop doing it, we still carry on and investigate, but we don't always get the outcomes we want.
That's who you go to, innit? Like,
well, why?
Because they can help.
You could ask some kid round the corner, and who's more affiliated to that sort of lifestyle.
Like some sort of crime family.
No, not just some sort of crime family, but say if something gets, like, because things have been robbed from my mates or anything like that, and you put it on Facebook, and you're probably more likely to get a result from the community and putting it on Facebook, than ringing the police for them to give you a crime reference number.
Yeah, that's mad to me. Like, we'll bring them that mad.
Because there's people I know who've done that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bait people up, but there's people I know who have said, oh, I've had my bike robbed, or something's been robbed from my shed or something like that.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 took pictures of it, banged it on Facebook, and then someone's messaged them or rang them and said, oh, I know who's got your stuff, come and get it, this is where it is.
Right, and then they go around and...
Like, I'll tell you one incident.
Give them a bit of a beating.
Well, I don't know what happened, I'm not going to say what happened, or I can't, but anyway, basically, one incident, my mate, I'm not going to say his name, but I remember he was in school and he got his bike nicked off him. I don't think he rang the police. I think he was just trying to get it back off the area, off the estate.
Yeah.
Luckily, this kid who robbed his bike came to my house to try and sell me it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know at the time. It was my other friend who was with me. He said, "I swear that's so and so's bike." And he told me today he got it robbed. So what did I do? Like, I think I was just stalling with him. Oh no, I think my mate was stalling with the guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I might buy it. I've rang my mate. Yeah. Mate, did you get your bike nicked today? Yeah, I got it nicked.
The guys here now trying to
the guys here now trying to sell me it. So my mate's big brother came round on his moped, bang, got the bike.
Yeah.
Died happening with the police. That's just one example, I mean. That's one example, but he getting the bike back that quick.
No, and I ain't necessarily against that, to be fair. I mean, that's an efficient way to do it, but I think, you know...
I don't know, being realistically, I get what you're trying to say. Like, if I'm going to go back to that question, I'm on the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the first thing I'm doing though. I don't think it's the first thing I'm doing bringing the police. I think I'm probably going to try and take it into my own hands before I ring the police.
Honestly, do you think these sort of activities that we're doing now will help address some of the issues in the community? And also, do you think the community actually, sort of see, oh, that's a good bit of conversational information, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely part of the journey, I think. And so, for example, with my friend Chedu, when I initially came to him and said, look, like, there's an option here to do something with the police, because obviously we'd already done a few episodes. I think maybe you've seen a few. Darren said he was circulating some around the squad. So when I said to him, look, like, I think we should do this, because at the end of the day, if for me, not for me, but for Chedu, if you've got issues with the police, at least this is an opportunity to sit down and put those questions to them and get some sort of an answer. And point blank, he said no. He said, I'm not going to do it. I've got no time. Like, I just don't like the police. And I slowly worked on him and just encouraged him and said, look, at the end of the day, they're just people. He's got friends that are in the police, so there's that confliction. And in the end, I was able to convince him, and he's come down, and I feel like that's benefited him, and it's kind of helped him put a few bits to bed. He's not completely there yet, hence why he wouldn't come today, but it's a start. And I think that's kind of part of the sort of journey, and I think it's important as well as for me and Chedu as sort of role models in our city to sort of show other people that there's another way to approach things. At the end of the day, I grew up on a council estate, and even members of my own family, issues with drugs, in and out of prison, abuse, and this is something that's very normal in the environments that we grew up in. So you can kind of see why people in those environments think, well, if I'm in for a penny kind of thing, then I'm in for a pound. And I'm a big believer in sort of paving the way. I'm not trying to say like I'm some big epic guy, but at the same time, it's even if it's just for the people around me, my friends, my children, my brothers and sisters, to see me trying to be a positive role model, because I ain't always been a saint. All right, Chedu, you should have come.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
next time.
Yeah,
we'll come to you next time.
He's taking me for a pint now, and then I'm going to drive the car.